am I allowed to be happy about this one? At this point, you just do what you gotta do. And then, yes, please do!
What a great goal!
Dude! Crazy throwing waffles. Woo! Who are you?
Optimus Prime!
Leafs win 4-3 in the shootout over the New Jersey Devils. Now, for the good old-fashioned Leaf fans, the Leafs win a game that they totally should not have over the New Jersey Devils, and good for them. For the people in Tank Nation, the Devils were 11-3 in the shootout before this game. It was the first time Martin Brodeur ever allowed all 3 goals in the shootout. Of course, it was against the Leafs. Of course! Because why would anything good ever happen to the Toronto Maple Leafs? Why? Now, these are obviously very conflicting opinions. And there were some people on Twitter last night going hard after the Tank Nation. People like, how could you want your team to lose? That's so stupid. You gotta build from the wins and you learn from it going forward. It's always a good thing. Just like it was last year and for every year since the lockout. Ba blue sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 8 years full. No more of this finish off strong A. We'll take the momentum forward into next year's stuff. Boo, you stink. Just my opinion. I mean, you do have a good point. That's how the Penguins were built. I'm sure it had nothing to do with getting a top 2 pick in 4 consecutive drafts. But no, positivity, guys. Go team. Shut up. Anyway, the game. No score in the first, which is pretty unbelievable considering the Leafs were outshot 18-7. Leafs pressing hard in the second. Tyler Bozak pots his 16th, and Nazem Kadri tips in a nice Jake Gardner shot for his 5th of the season. The Leafs have a 2-0 lead. Kadri producing is a nice story, but an even better story on that play in his first career NHL game, getting his first career NHL point with an assist, Ryan Hamilton. The guy has paid his dues big time in the minors. Current captain of the Toronto Marlies, and apparently why he got called up is Randy Carlyle called Dallas Eakins and says, who deserves the shot? And he said Hamilton. I've been saying for at least a year I think that Hamilton is going to get his shot at some point. He probably would have got it sooner if he didn't get injured so often. A bit of a Daryl Boyce type story in that sense, where he would get injured and then finally come back and play a few good games in the minors and then get hurt again. It's extra good because when he ultimately gets sent back to the Marlies, it's inevitable. They look like they could do some damage in the AHL playoffs this year. Smart kid, works hard, he pays his dues. Good old Ontario boy, Oshawa, Ontario. Let's go! By the way, today is Saturday, which means it's Saturday night, which means the Leafs are playing the Rangers, but it also means Coach's Corner. I will bet every penny I own that Cherry brings up the fact that Hamilton and Kadri are both from Ontario. Or at very least Kadri. I'm just saying, folks, I'm just saying. Now, Leafs up 3-1. The Devils ultimately mount a comeback because the Leafs stink, and we go to overtime and then the shootout. And I gotta admit, I was cheering for the Devils. I was going against the Leafs. Because if you want them to tank, cheering against them is cheering for them. You can act all high and mighty and against tanking all you want. Fleury, Malkin, Crosby, all 3 stalls, Kane, Taves, Tavares, Hedman, Stamkos, Doughty, Hall, Sagan. Let's just keep going. Now, despite the amazing game Reimer had, he did not have a good shootout, but Brodeur was even worse. Kadri, whoo, disgusting. Kadri's been doing this since junior. And what's so frustrating about Kadri in the shootout is he's basically got 2 moves, but it's very frustrating for the goalie as well. He's a lefty, so the one move is bring it over here, flip it top shelf like he did on Thomas last year, or make it look like that and then make you look stupid. Very noteworthy about the Leafs shootout selections. No Phil Kessel. And Kadri is by no means guaranteed to score in the shootout, but he's a better pick than Kessel. Hindsight for this particular game is obviously a little biased, but all you gotta do is watch the rest of the season and what Kessel was able to accomplish, which is not much in the shootout. Even if it's decided that Kadri's game hasn't developed enough, and from what I'm hearing from scouts that is exactly the case, it might be worth it to keep him around, especially because of the shootout. You know how many points are on the line? The Devils have been to 15 shootouts this season, and they have an 11-4 record. They have 90 points. Flip that record to 4-11, and they have 83, which knocks them down from 6th to 7th, and they're only 1 point out of 9th, which doesn't even include the extra point that would have been given to the team they lost to, so who knows, they could be out of a playoff spot if it weren't for their amazing shootout record this season. The Colorado Avalanche are sitting 9th in the Western Conference. They're tied for 8th place with a 9-2 shootout record. If that record's 2-9, they're not even part of the conversation, which is why it's important to have guys that are good at the shootout in your lineup, or for the NHL to change their very stupid point system. Wrapping things up with the SteveDangle.com poll, it's your decision. Does Nazem Kadri make the Leafs roster on opening day of next season? Very simple, yes or no. So that's it for this one. I'm actually going to go to the game tonight, thanks to Alex AT Canada with the contest winner Jerry. Probably going to be my last game that I'm actually at of the season. So, yeah, looking forward to it, win or lose.